to get into a drama class, I had like lied. And
I think we all lied about quite a few
something
things.
about something.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about that too.
yeah. So
I can ride a horse.
Goodfellas is a simple mental space to heal and grow by a black man for everyone who's listening. I'm Hosea Chanchez, and this is Goodfellas.
They need no introduction, but they are two beloved characters, two actors who have done work across multiple platforms and in our living rooms, in our homes, throughout our lives. So please do me a favor and welcome my dear friends, Coby Bell and Pooch Hall.
Hey.
Give yourselves a round of applause.
Thank you. That was so
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow. Thank you for having me, brother.
Of course, man.
This is dope.
I'm very happy. Right?
Thank
is
you,
dope.
man. This is so special to me. This means so much to me. I love you guys, and you guys know me in a way that most people don't. And it's interesting because we're going to get to know a lot more about each other because it's been a really long time since we've done our thing together. But, you know, I'm looking forward to sharing more and hearing more about your lives. Pooch, you guys, you've lived a really interesting life.
Yeah.
Very, very colored life.
Yeah, man.
And you have always been one of my favorite human beings. And I've always looked up to you. I've always admired you. You know that. We all know how special Pooch is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for being here.
No, I appreciate you, man. Like, I first met him in an commercial audition.
That's right, on La Brea.
And 200 South La Brea.
That's right, too. South La Brea.
And, you know, like when you first meet someone in the industry or you see them like, oh, yeah, I seen him in a commercial. I seen him on TV. And then you see them all the time. And I saw you all the time after that. So it was crazy.
It was me, you, and a couple of other cats that
class,
we would always get the job.
That class.
It was going to go to one of us. Like we would, whatever the commercial was, it would happen. It would be me, Pooch, or it's like three other guys who worked a lot. They worked a lot too. So
that might have. So was that when you were a teenager, literally a teenager?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I moved to California when I driven out here when I was 17, going on 18. I think I got here when I was like 18 or something.
Word?
Yeah, I don't know if we ever really talked about that. Like, you just came out here. Did you know anybody out here?
Yeah. I mean, well, I have an aunt that lives out here. Yeah, so
Did
that
you
was.
stay with her at first? Or
I did not stay with her. I was supposed to stay with her, and things kind of went wrong in Texas. After I drove from Alabama to Texas. I ended up staying with, but she did connect me with one of her, close friends who took me in. So, yeah.
Wow. And so you came out here to start auditioning, or you were like,
no,
I think I'm gonna go for it.
Man, when I came out here, I thought all I needed to do was move to California,
and
I was in Ontario.
Yeah, see me.
I was in Riverside, Ontario, all the wrong places.
That's where you were?
Yes.
When you first come out here to work from somewhere else, and then you're like, yeah, I'm in LA. They'll come visit you, and they're like, yo, Pooch, I'm here. Let's go grab some food. Or something. I'm like, oh, where you at? I'm in Anaheim. I was like, that's not here.
Yeah, you got about 100 more miles before you get here.
I'm in the Bay, man. Like they think like.
But wait, can you, before we talk about that, since we're talking about this, I want to talk about your start, all of our starts. Before you got the show, people may not really even know this because we don't talk about this type of stuff much, but Pooch, you were originally not in the pilot.
Oh, yeah.
That was Aldous Hodge's role. Yeah. When we did the pilot, when we auditioned for the pilot, when we got those roles, which my story is checkered and colored too, because I auditioned and tested for Derwin twice.
So how my story happened was like, we got another football show. And I was like, okay, so I read it.
No, but it was a hot one though. Everybody was talking about it.
Not really, not to me, bro. Not to me, bro. There was
a lot of buzz.
There was other football stuff that I'd gone on that I wanted.
Saturday Night Lights.
If your whole gauge is just trying to be on a
football show.
Well, right.
Well, then you were like, well, this football show isn't as hot as that.
No, but here's the thing. When I saw it, right, and I read it, and I was like, what is this? And so because I've been disappointed on the other football stuff, I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I was like, there's some more Hollywood cats gonna tell people
you too small to be a football player.
You ain't a real football player. Yeah, right. So peep it. So I went in there, did my thing, and so first they had me read for Derwin, and then they brought me back in for Malik, and then they said read for Derwin. So, and Eric Emery was my agent on it, and it didn't happen. So I was just like, that's some bullshit. I was like, see, they don't know nothing about no football. Then, so y'all shot the pilot. So like 3 weeks later, I ran into him.
Yeah.
Ran into him at Paramount because I was auditioning for something else, and I saw him. He was sitting on a golf cart, and I was going. That's how you know. I'm like, man, it's Lucky Cat. I was like, this is Lucky Cat. So I'm auditioning. He shot a pilot, right? But you go, I don't know, blah 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 blah. I was all right. Well, good luck. Kept it moving, and
yeah, because she was like, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
And I kept it moving. But like, I'm the type of cat who's really happy for a dude because, you know, what's for you is for you.
Right.
But it doesn't mean I don't have like that competitive edge to where like, damn, maybe there was something I didn't do.
I mean, you want to work. You want to work the job, right? Otherwise, don't go after it.
Especially in that early phase of your career, you just want to try to grab everything. So I left, did my audition, and then one day I get this call from Eric, my agent. He says, Pooch, hey, buddy. Hey, do you remember that project called The Game? He's like, the football show. I said, yeah. And I was kind of like just saying, yeah, like whatever, because I kind of put it behind me. And it was during what we used to have called pilot season.
Yeah.
So you're just auditioning.
Right.
Crazy. And so I said, yeah. He goes, all right, well, you're going to get this. And I was just like, that to me is like the kiss of death.
Oh, really?
So he goes, Suzanne wants to work with you. Anybody who says, you're my guy,
Suzanne was the best.
Suzanne got her somebody, I love her. And he goes, but Suzanne wants to work with you before you go in front of the audition, whatever. And I was like, all right. And I was like, damn. And then I'm saying to myself, what did I do differently? And I remember what Hosea said. Hosea was like, you got to play it real, like Salim wants real, da-da-da. And I'm like, so for people out there auditioning, and when people think sitcom, they think sitcoms like set up, joke, like boom, boom, shh. The Game was different, but I was auditioning thinking it was like a sitcom because 30-minute show is usually sitcom.
Right.
But then I remember I was listening to Jose, and he was like, but
Double
Salim and them
space.
wanted real. So I wasn't sure.
But you had to walk that line. Sorry to interrupt. You had to walk the line of like
It was
playing super real, but you also had to get the
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Yeah.
So when I went in with Suzanne, and no word of a lie, I must have worked with Suzanne for like 2 hours. And I remember leaving. This is on my mom and my dad. I had a headache. Wow. And so Eric was like, hey buddy, how did it go? How'd you do? I was like, it was cool. And in my mind, I was like, bro, if I got this, I don't think I'd want it. I swear. I was like, I don't want. I left with a headache all over at CBS Radford. But low key, I don't know if I even really want this because they don't really know real football players. And I was like, this shit sucks. I was like, this shit sucks,
You did
bro.
have something to prove. You said it.
So,
but you were still. I'm glad you brought this up because you were still upset about the way the process went the first time when I talked to you.
A little bit, because I'm like, what? I was because I seen all this as joint, and I was like, that's what y'all want, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me. So I went in there, and so we do it. So Mara goes like this. So we do the first take, and now mind you, I was working with Suzanne for like 2 hours, bro.
Right.
And so now I'm coming in there off of that work session, and then all of a sudden, she says, okay, so Mara's sitting there and she's got her leg, and she's looking at me. And she said, okay, relax. She says, she says, okay, Pooch, she's like, relax. And I'm like, all right, yeah. She said, okay. Mara goes like this. You played football, right? I go, yeah. And so she said, okay. Just play it real. Play it like you. And I was like, yeah. Like, she said, because last time you came in there, you had this suit on, and I had a Steve Harvey suit on.
Oh, God, no,
I had a
really?
Steve Harvey suit on. One of them, they were long, like the Matrix.
Yeah.
And so she says, this is Derwin. She goes like this to me. She says, this is Derwin. And when Mara gave me the note, literally it was like, oh, like the clouds parted, and it was like, action. She's like, that's it. That's it. I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, all right, let's. She's like, do the next scene. Da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, yeah, like keep that, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna bring you in front of the in front of the network. I was like, oh, okay. I felt good. I felt that in your stomach, like, because you have the showrunner saying yes.
That was your part, though, from the very beginning. We could see when you got the role, because we were there before you, we could see that you were it. It was almost like she wrote that part for you. You were so perfect as Derwin. You had no choice. If anybody said that you weren't, they're hating. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so good. You were so good when we were watching you. We knew that it was meant for you, brother.
Thank you, fam. And that was the setup, but it gets better. I'm literally pulling up to 24 Hour Fitness to hoop, and then my phone rings with this 310 number. I'm like, who's this? And she's like, Pooch. Mara had this real soft voice. Pooch? I go, yeah. She goes, Mara. I go, oh, hey, Mara.
Wow, she called you herself.
Yeah, she called me herself, right?
Wow.
And I had just pulled into a parking space. And I thought it was going to be like, I just wanted to call you to say thanks. This is what I thought. Say thanks, but we're going to go a different route.
Another direction, yeah.
And so I was just like, she's like, I just want to say, you got it.
Was this a FaceTime call? Did she do the mannerisms and everything?
And bro, I was like, I kind of like teared up, like, because I worked for that.
Yeah.
But I still really didn't know what it was. And then we got in there, bro. It
Magic.
was off.
It was made for you, brother. Kobi, let's roll into when you first got the job. What do you remember from that time? Like, how was that experience for you?
I auditioned, booked it.
You're hilarious. First of all, you didn't even think you were going to get that job, dude. Because I remember, you didn't think you were going to get that job.
I wanted to do a contrast.
Stark contrast to what Pooch did.
Yeah. No, so I am coming off of, I had just done, all I had done.
Third Watch?
All I'd done before that was drama. I did 1 year on a drama, and then I did 6 years on Third Watch, which was drama. That was kind of like me starting out in my 20s, all through my 20s. And then after Third Watch ended, I really wanted to do comedy because I'm like, it's just in me. And in between takes and Third Watch, all I'm doing is like fucking around and then, action music. And all I wanted to do was comedy. And my wife was really into Girlfriends. And then I got wind that they were doing the people that do Girlfriends were doing a show. I was like, okay, I want to get on that. I want to get on that. So I went in and did it, and I went in knowing like, all right, this is either going to work or it's not. And I did it, and they were laughing, and then I was like, okay, good, I'm done. Okay, you're auditioning. Like, okay, whew. Come outside, and Suzanne followed me and gave me a hug. And I was like, this is good. right. And then I got word that I was going to test. And I remember the first stage of testing, like you were there.
Yep, that's when we first met.
When Wendy was there. I remember Wendy and some other people were there.
Right.
And I remember going into that and thinking, okay, it worked the first time. Let me see if it works for it was the first stage of testing, whatever that was. And they were digging it. And then the final stages of the test, which whatever the network or the studio, whichever one is second, which is another location. The only thing I really remember is Salim pulling me aside right before and being like, okay. He's like, just go in there and do what the fuck you've been doing.
I think he gave don't you change anything.
Don't add
Yes.
shit. Don't try to like razzle dazzle. Right. Don't try to like hype your shit up just for this moment. Do the shit you've been doing, and you will have this job.
The same thing.
And if you don't know Salim, he kind of can come off scary, bro.
But I
appreciate
it.
it. Oh my God.
Yeah. So then booked it, and then man, I loved every fucking minute of that job, man. And I can't believe that we got to do it for as long as we did.
I know. How'd you start acting? Like, because your dad was a musician, which you've talked about in the past, but not really thoroughly. So
I did when I was a little kid, I would like the school plays and stuff. I always kind of it came easy to me. But I never, I was more into like basketball and stuff. And then when I got into college, I was gonna do more like behind the scenes stuff as my major. But they were kind of very quickly like, no, you need to be out here, because you're so goofy and whatever.
Yeah. And
then some of the theater people were coming over, like during some of the classes I was in. If I was doing a scene, like some of the other professors would come and watch. And then one professor in particular, Amy Glazer, who I'm still, like my mentor, she was like, "You need to do this. This is what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
You need to come audition for this play that you know." And I had like in the to get into the drama class, I had like lied.
I think we all lied about quite a few
Something
things.
about something,
We'll
yeah.
talk about that too.
Yeah. So
I can ride a horse.
at San Jose State, they were like, "Yeah, you know, in order to be in this advanced drama class, you need to have done this. I was like, yeah. So I did that, and then I started doing the plays at school.
Mm-hmm.
That led to Buddy Butler, rest in peace. He said, hey, he was one of the theater arts people there. He was directing a play with the St. Louis Black Repertory Company. He said, I want you to come do this play during your winter break.
Wow.
And it'll be like a class. And they'll miss some school, but, you know, so it was kind of like my first professional gig. They put me up in an apartment. I was like, oh, shit,
Wow.
shit.
Yeah, it's dope.
I remember at the airport, I was talking to somebody in line to get on the plane, and they're like, what do you do? I was like, I'm an actor. That was like the first time I said
it?
Yeah. And then it was like no turning back from there. Mm-hmm. And then right after that, I got hooked up with the manager, and I started booking guest spots right away. I graduated in June, and I booked an ER in August.
That's right.
Oh,
You did
I
tell us
seen
about
that.
Yeah.
Didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
You were a dad or a patient or
I was a college track runner. That
Yeah.
Had
some
testicular
kind.
cancer.
Yeah.
And then Maria Bello comes and does the exam, and I get.
You had hair too.
It's a boner.
Yeah, he did have hair.
Yeah.
Story. And so that was like, I was like, whoa, and I was playing basketball at lunch with George Clooney and stuff. I was like,
Wow, dude.
And while we were playing basketball, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. While we were playing basketball, the three women from Friends walked by. Hey, George. I was like, I'm in.
This is it, man.
I'm in. Yeah. And I didn't know that the same production company from ER had kept me in mind all the way to Third Watch because it was the same thing.
Whoa, dude.
So after ER, I did a bunch of guest spots, and then I booked a series regular gig, and then that next pilot season, that thing ended only one a season.
Mm-hmm.
LA Doctors only one a season, and then I hopped on Third Watch, and then
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bro, this is crazy, bro.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys have both had such amazing careers, which I'm so proud of you guys, even after the game. But do you guys feel like the game was the best job you ever got, or no?
As far as for me, as far as having fun, like it never felt like homework for me.
Never.
Like, those are the writers. God, those writers, man.
Yeah, man.
The jokes.
We were so fortunate.
Jokes.
Yeah, dude.
And so preparing, there's times where you get your if you're doing some medical thing or some legal thing,
jargon. You got the whole thing,
exposition jargon, and like, hey, here's your scene for for Tuesday. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, bro.
I gotta go look up words.
Like on Walker, the show that I was just on, I was the king of. I was the captain, so I was the king of just like dropping those. Got to be where I would have to make up songs in my head. I turn it into a song.
Oh, nice. That works. Sing songy.
That works.
Yep.
It works. And then you just say the song. For real.
This makes it
Yeah,
great.
bro.
But the game never felt that way. The
No.
game was just like, it was like, got it. And then just finding the comedy and finding those moments was the challenge. And then just,
With
family,
us,
the family and the team that we all were.
Trust me, we've all been on projects where you feel like the lone wolf, or you don't really feel included. But on us,
Yeah,
we
bad
were
energy.
we were a team
Bad energy.
for real.
Yeah.
And
I don't think anybody could have cast the chemistry, because we could have been great actors but not liked each other.
Right.
We could have been great actors but not hung out after. We were spent hours at the fucking lot with each other after everybody else is gone.
it was that fun.
So
We all
it's
felt safe.
something
It was
to say.
safe. It felt safe.
Absolutely.
We were making each other
And
better.
we liked each other.
Yeah.
We liked, and then we loved each other fast track, pretty soon
what
in
was
there.
cool too? We were a part of this becoming, that everything
Yes.
that was like, and I think it was a new transition into the industry wise, in a sense, where we were that show that people like, hey, have y'all saw the game? I think we were that show for the people who were looking for something different. And I think that's what we were, and we were part of everything that was different and changing.
When the show went on without you guys, you know, as most people know, the show ended up taking another direction in the last iteration on Paramount Plus, and the only two original cast members that were regulars on that show was myself and Wendy. And Kobe, you came and you were guest, and Pooch, you came and you were guest. And what I really wanted to know from you guys was what I know what our experience was, and I don't really think you guys understand or even know what it was like for Wendy and myself, but I know what our experience was, which I will share with you, but I really want to know how you guys felt when the show went on without you. And Pooch, actually, I'd like to start with you because I want to talk about our BET years when you left the show originally, which was a small fracturing point for you and I at one point in time.
Yeah,
Can you talk? Like, can you talk a little bit specifically about, you know, why you left the show on BET when we were like the highest rated show on television?
Yeah, I can absolutely talk about it, and thank you for that segue into it. Well, what happened was when the show first got canceled and brought back, I was on Accidentally on Purpose, which was on, I believe, CBS with Jenna Elfman, and you know, you and I used to work out at 24 Hour Fitness in Hollywood, and I remember, you know, the rumors starting of like the game was coming back, and so I remember telling my agent Marnie, I said, yeah, I got some friends who I play basketball with who are on focus groups, and then I ran Hosea. They said the game's coming back, and she was like, no. She was like, that show's done. I was like,
and this is after we had been canceled
on the CW.
The CW, after we were successful, then they canceled us, and then there were 2 years, or a few years in between.
Two? No.
Yeah.
Close to.
It was, we got canceled, and then I was on Accidentally on Purpose for a whole season.
Right.
And then it came shortly after that.
Through BET.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think maybe like a year and some change.
Maybe a year and some change. Not quite 12, like, you know, 24
a full
months.
Cycle.
Yeah, but a friend of mine had said, hey, Pooch, they're bringing your show back. And I go, what show? He's like, the game. I go, really? I go, nah, I don't know. And then he goes, yeah, I'm on a focus group. It was my man, Lay. And he goes, we're on these focus groups. And I said, well, where? He goes, either BET or TNT. And I go, okay. He goes, yeah. So he goes, we'll watch the show and then we'll grade it because they're looking to see where it's gonna go. He goes, I hope it's on BET. And I was like, oh, I don't know, man. And so I told my agent this, and then I ran into you, and you said, you know, they're bringing the show back. And I go, yeah, I keep hearing that, but I go, I'm on a show already. So you said, and so it made the announcement that BET was bringing the show back. And you were like, yeah, but they can't bring it back unless you're involved. And I said, well, damn, I was like, I'd love to be involved, but I'm on another show. And what people don't understand, and even early in the whatchamacallit, because when you even told me, I was excited, but I was also like, I do want to do bigger and better things. And so at the time, you know, people were like, well, if you get stuck over BT, you're going to be in trouble and you can't get out of that.
Yeah.
And so I was a little nervous about that. And I wasn't sure exactly what that meant. I'm like, people are really watching BET. And I was like, I'm on CBS right now. And so with that being said, I wanted to rock out with y'all because I just love the concept of football, and we had so much fun. But when you're an actor and you get a job, it's not like you go fill an application and like, hey, Kobe, want you to work over here at McDonald's, and like, okay, so you're gonna work like Monday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you have weekends off or holidays off. You have to fill out contracts. So in a way, these studios somewhat, they're buying you and your time. Like you owe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They own you.
They own you.
Yeah, right.
And so I was kind of like, well, I was like, I don't know. And so I was on Accidentally on Purpose. Now, being on Accidentally on Purpose, I was looking forward to the crossover appeal because now, like on the game, I didn't get to go to the People's Choice Awards. Now I'm like where Hugh Jackman was like, you know, he was Wolverine and he was like the guest honor, and I'm sitting here with all these people. But being in this world, I'm hearing how much game love from people in the audience, where Claudia Ludlow, Michael Rappaport's sister, was the showrunner. She's like, oh my God, you're really popular. And she's like, I heard about the game, I never watched it. And she's just like, maybe I got to watch the game, because all these people were recognizing me and Jenna Elfman from Accidentally on Purpose.
Right. I wanted to bring us to the point where you and I had our little disagreement online about you leaving the show after you bashed the show.
No. I bashed the show because
But no, it was right. No, you were right. But first of all, you were right, and that's exactly why I want us to talk about it, because I want to tell you were right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how did that all go down? When you and Tia left from the BT years.
Tia didn't leave.
Well, how did that work? How did that?
Okay.
Tia did leave.
No, bro, no, she didn't.
Yeah.
So here's the deal.
No, she didn't leave. Sorry.
So
Right.
here's
She
the
didn't
deal.
technically leave
when I
herself.
signed on to BET, because, I mean, and here's the thing, guys. It's not like me and you are negotiating our own deals. There's a reason why
Right.
we have managers and agents. So my team, because they didn't want me to get trapped over there, they said, we're going to make this deal, and they're in second position, and they want you so bad that we're going to do 1 year guaranteed, the next year network option. Now, from what I understand, you guys did 2 guaranteed 1 year network option, and I was the only one that had 2 years. So she said, Marnie goes, when we negotiate for the 3rd year, we're gonna.
Well, you had 2 years, but the rest of us had 3.
But you had 2
And
years.
but the problem came in was because we were told it was favored nations.
Right.
That's where the issue came in, because we didn't know. We were lied to. Because we were told by all of our reps, those of us that knew it was favored nations. And that was the agreement we all thought we were signing. And then we find out favored nations is same money, same years. You can't have favored nations if it's not the same.
I thought it was
So-
money, but mine was 1 year.
No, but your money was still different.
No. Here's the thing. 1 year guaranteed, and then I had the network option. I wanted to come back for our 3rd year because we were negotiating. And because my contract was done finito. And they were like, we got to get Pooch. And so Marnie told me what she had told them. She says, here's the deal, guys. She said, since we don't have a deal, she says, we're going to send Pooch out, and this is what's going to happen. He's going to book a movie or a TV show, and you're going to lose him. And they were saying, well, this is all we can do. And Marnie said, okay. And literally,
It happened.
I booked Ray
it
Donovan
happened, right.
out the gate. Then we went back to BET and said, okay, we'll take the deal, but we'll take it in second position, right? And we've been negotiating all the way up until this point. And then it got announced in Deadline that says, Pooch hangs up his football cleats for boxing gloves, and he joins the cast of Ray Donovan, Showtime, blah, blah, blah.
Which is a great headline, by the way.
It was a great headline. Thank you.
It's very poetic.
Bro, and you guys know me. I always wanted to be out there on some Will Smith, like Marvel, like all types of wild stuff. Like I grew up doing that stuff. When that got announced, then I get a call from Tia. She says, "Hey, Pooch, how you doing?" I was like, "Good." Now, mind you, Tia and I worked together, but we ain't hang out. And and then I saw, I was like, Tia, I was like, because she had just had Cree, and I was like, is everything cool? And so she's like, yeah, like, just curious, did you get your pickup letter? I go, no. She's like, okay, well, I didn't get my pickup letter, but Wendy and Hosea did.
Oh, yeah.
And then I go, okay, like, yeah, I go, you should be fine, T. I go, there's no reason why they would not send. She goes, I'm thinking I didn't get one because you just came out, you're coming on Ray Donovan. I go, yeah, but you and I have done tons of stuff where we're not in scenes together. I go, you've done tons of.
You guys said broken up.
Yeah,
the story and all that
I go.
stuff
I said, I
at
go.
this point.
I don't see them losing their lead girl. I said, I would say, just sit tight.
I didn't see it either.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't
So
think
she was
none of
like,
us
no,
saw it.
well, she was like, well, I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird. Da 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 da. And I was just like, yeah, you're fine. I go, I just think it's like a glitch in the matrix. And sure enough, they didn't, and then they didn't pick up Tia's option. And Tia puts out on Twitter, I'll never forget this, I was in Canada, she was like all of a sudden, and it was in Rome, phones were all, like, it wasn't working wasn't working right in out there in Canada, and Tia goes, well, guys, I just want to let you know it's been a fun ride. I'm no longer going to be on the game, blah blah blah. And Black Twitter went crazy.
Right.
Then I got a call, Pooch, can you put the fire out and say whoop de woo? And then I was like, say what?
What do you mean put the fire
That's,
out?
I swear on my mom, they said, can you put out like a rebuttal tweet to Tia's thing? Because Black Twitter went crazy. And then I hit my agent because I didn't know what to do. And she said, no, if you're going to do it, you and Tia go on like, E or whatever and really set the record straight and do it the right way. I didn't.
But wait, were you not coming back to the show at that time?
I
Why would y'all go together?
Here's the thing.
If you're waiting on your pickup letter and she already got her.
Well, she didn't know that my contract was done.
Oh, got you.
So I said, I don't see why they wouldn't hook you up.
Right.
At the time.
Right. Just because I'm not there don't mean you won't be.
Right.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
I'm telling Mara every step of what's going on with Ray. We're going to be doing this time. We're going to be doing this time. So I'll be available. Because Showtime, when we made my deal, said I still can do the game. Right. And I swear, Mara, guess what? We're going to be shooting this. We just finished. And so, like, da-da-da. She's like, okay, we'll see what happens, Pooch. And Mara said, if everyone involved wanted to work out, it will. And I was like, please, because I love being over there. And like, yes, Ray was cool, but then I was thinking about the cross promotion, all this, that, and the third. And then when they dropped
studios, networks, and showrunners are thinking about that.
Well, we don't know this.
Right.
We don't know,
Which is going to bring me to now, in hindsight, knowing the things that we do, and now that we're older, I'm not shocked that the things happen the way that they did. Now that we know how business runs in a different way, you realize, okay, it wasn't out of left field that Tia wouldn't be brought back. It wasn't out of left field that a show would move on if other people are playing ball in a different way. My show is my priority. Mm-hmm. That person's show. So now that we're older, you can see things when it comes to business and millions of dollars for a show. I think you can see how things turned out in some ways the way that they did.
Well,
right?
Absolutely. But in Tia's defense, mine and yours, because I felt like we bought into the whole family aspect,
right?
In that, look out for each other and like we love you and this, that, and the third,
right?
And I did everything by the book, and none of us were issues on set for the most part. Like I know we were all good,
right?
But it's not always the case in certain situations. But I just didn't see them not having, like, Tia was like Melanie Barnett, like, we were pillars in the Black community, and even as we crossed over. So when that didn't happen and they put that tweet out, BET did, and then they didn't bring us back, I was like, but Mara said, and then she says, and Mara called me and she says, we're going to go in a different direction. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, ooh. But I can tell you right now, even when I called Mara to tell her that I got Ray Donovan, I can tell she was hurt. It wasn't, personal per se. It was like business. But I should have, hey, Mara, I'm going in for Ray Donovan. I'm doing what my agents are saying as a person in the business, like, this is what you're supposed to do. And, as opposed to, hey, Mara, I'm going to be going for the show. Like, I want to let you know, da-da-da-da. Because I do remember when I did Jump in the Broom, I was talking with Salim and Mara prior to, and even when we were negotiating, Salim had called me, said, talk to your people. This time, my people were handling it, and I was like, it's going to work out, and I'm trusting my agent. She's like, it's going to work itself out. They're not going to cut their nose out to spite their face. Like, this is how this stuff works. And she said, you being on another show only helps them, especially if they're allowing you to be on another show. She says, this happens all the time. And I was like, okay, but not over here.
Well, it also doesn't happen all the time for Black people.
Facts.
Like, it happens a lot. I mean, for any Black person in the industry. Now it's more common because everything is so short term and turnarounds, right? But that stuff doesn't really happen for us.
Especially at that time.
It's what was happening with me, but it was happening in reverse. The original game, the first 3 seasons on CW got canceled. And then I went out and luckily I booked Burn Notice. And then I was like 2 episodes into filming that when I got word that the game was coming back on BET. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm on this now. Like officially, the game was done. It wasn't a thing anymore. Now I'm on Burn Notice. And then I got word that USA will let you do it if
You had X amount of episodes
BET
or
will
something,
take
right?
you.
if BET's cool with you being on this, we'll let you do it. I was like, what? And then they just said, yeah, we'll just we'll hold off the game production until it's towards the end of Burn Notice. And then that's what started those 4 years of me just like doing both those shows.
Right.
And
Yeah.
flying like crazy because I was still flying home all the time.
Which is
That was
essentially
on the
what-
That was on the BT side when we came back, right?
Yes, that was on
Yeah.
BET.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
came back, he was on Burn Notice.
Because I mentioned that to Mara. and she says, "Well, Kobe's situation is different, Pooch," and I was like,
Yeah,
well,
because it was in reverse.
right.
Right.
And I said, and I was like trying to understand it because I wanted to see it from her perspective too, where, like I said, people who don't really understand Hollywood, they don't even know even what advice to give you or even what you're feeling and what you're going through. Like when I felt more, because you got to keep in mind, when Mara called me to say, you got it, and we had this moment, and when I told her I got the Ray Donovan, there was a shift. But I understand because it's almost like a breakup. And
Right.
Yeah, because she's
Right.
feeling like, look, we have this show. You're on the show. The show like just for her perspective.
Right.
She's like, we're gonna go and do another season. What you booked Ray Donovan?
But we were negotiating.
I
My
know, yes, I
contract
get
had
it.
ended, so it was
I get
almost
it.
like
I get that. I
you
get
know
that.
what I mean?
But
Was it the way that ball was played too? One thing I learned like early, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago,
having
late,
people speak for you
was how
yes, facts.
how our teams represent us.
Yes.
It's how people
speak how I would speak.
Yes,
speak
bro.
how I,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Because let's keep it 1,000% real. The power dynamics in the industry, especially when you are a white agent or a white manager and you are talking to people who have made it, people of color who have survived and thrived in the executive producing land, you can't approach them in a certain way.
Yeah, that's a good point because a lot of like representatives, they don't understand the impact that the game had on the African American audience,
Right.
And they don't understand like some I could be speaking to some representatives like I don't really.
Because we're not an industry show.
I don't really know your work.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
the industry.
And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's funny because to the black audience, it was for a generation,
Oh, for sure.
it was their shit.
Yeah.
yeah.
In a beautiful, real way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't get that.
But then they always act like I'm for your people, I'm for the cause, and this, that, and the third. And then I'm like, well, I really need you to understand the impact that we had to where if you're trying to put something together in a sense of like, well, we got to have some kind of strategy or use something to where we can get these producers. I'm like, well, you may be looking for like, yeah, cool on Ray Donovan, but I go, if you want like the fan craze, like how your son or daughter loves, Justin Bieber or Kendrick Lamar or Drake or something, we were that without songs. And I go, now you bring that to the forefront, and then because it's all marketing. It's like, well, does he or she have an audience or followers? We were that before a lot of other shows were.
Yeah, do you guys remember after when they started doing the reruns and just doing the marathons, showing marathon in people's living rooms.
Yeah.
The shift, and I remember it was the three of us. We were walking in Atlanta somewhere,
Oh,
and a car drove by, and just drove by fast, just from like the shape of our heads or whatever it was. and then like honked and screamed and stuff, and the three of us were like, "What the
Whoa.
fuck just happened? What was that?"
We found our people.
So we were the equivalent to Friends, but like almost like the black version
Black
of
Friends,
Friends.
yeah.
Where
It sounds weird to say that, but
it's the truth.
It's really the
Yeah.
truth.
It's the truth.
in a humble,
way
in the
it-
most humble way.
and
Yeah,
and
it really.
we
It was pandemonium, dude.
even when we
For a
would
minute
say
there.
that,
Oh my
they would be
God.
like, "Okay, they like take it easy. You guys were friends." Like I'm like, "No, we
no,
were."
like in our
So
for
check
our
it out.
people,
Okay, here's another
we-
example. I would
yeah.
be on the set of Burn Notice, where I was just like the fourth lead, and it's just like, yeah, it's Kobe, it's cool, he's the fourth lead, or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? On a white show,
Yeah.
and we would be shooting somewhere in Miami, where there'd be some folks.
Yeah, Jason Pitts, the whole
Yeah,
nine.
I'm talking about there was a couple times right in front of the main dude who was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
Like
I actually remember these stories. 'cause you were
screaming
sharing
and running.
with me.
I'd never experienced it. To me, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Made
Screaming,
you uncomfortable.
screaming and running up and hugging and you know what I mean, like all that shit.
like
Dude,
pop stars. We were like pop stars.
But by then,
bro.
Pooch and I were knee deep in celebrity,
Oh
making
my
$100
God.
grand, popping
Yeah,
up places and
bro.
stuff, cash,
Yeah, bro.
private jets. We lived that
Yeah.
celebrity. I mean, you really did it.
Yeah,
There
it-
wasn't a check that Pooch didn't take.
It was like being human
But-
cocaine. Like you know,
Yeah,
it's just like
for a
people were
moment.
like, I need to hit a pooch. I need to hit a pooch.
Yeah,
you know.
like in the most random, and then now it's so different because of social media and they have so much access to
Yeah.
celebrities. I also, before we wrap this up, I really wanted to speak to you guys about, like, for me, my perspective at that time was, like you said, we were family and everything. So I had taken it, and I think I can somewhat speak for Wendy, and I don't really want to, but we felt a lot of guilt.
How?
We felt a lot of guilt moving on without you guys.
With the newest version.
All versions. But for sure.
What do you mean
because
all versions?
No,
I'm saying-
the newest version, the newest
The
reboot.
newest one.
All
maybe.
versions, though. Going back to BET, when you were on another show,
Oh,
you
and
got to remember,
Kelly-
we've done this before.
Brit wasn't there.
Right.
Oh, that was weird.
I didn't
Yes.
like that
See,
at
I didn't-
all,
I didn't like-
bro.
let me just say,
So-
I didn't like any. Like I listen. All the different people that came into the show, they were great, and I love them. Mm-hmm. But, love Jay, love Lauren.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Brandy. But that original, the
Six
original
of us.
connection that we had.
The main ingredient. I told you.
Was,
Yeah, I mean, and
was
they,
so beautiful, so beautiful.
But the beautiful thing is, they even have said, they've all said that, they could, as artists and actors, and they've all said the same thing. Like, Brandy bigs us up like the original six.
Right.
Even when we brought the show back, I remember Brandy, I had a call, and she was rooting for all of us, like the original six, because she maintains that we created this world and that we deserve to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Which I respect her so much for that, and she's been consistent about saying that to whoever she speaks to about this show.
So yeah. So to your question about how I felt about that most recent reboot.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on another show, so I couldn't have. I couldn't
couldn't
do
do
it.
it.
I couldn't have done it.
Right.
But and as happy as I was for you and Wendy,
Right. And you said that. You made that
Totally.
very
I
clear.
was like, get
Yeah.
yours, get yours,
Right.
get yours.
Right.
But from a creative standpoint, I was like, why are they doing it this way? This is not. This isn't what our
This isn't
fans
what we
want to
said.
see. This isn't what our fans want to see. And it was a great show. It was good. They did a great job of what they did.
Right.
But I'm like, if you want to bring this thing back, in my opinion, it was like, bring back the OGs. Doesn't matter how old.
But there's so
and
much
crusty
water
we are.
under the bridge with all of us if we're being really honest and authentic. And we know that because the last time we tried to reboot the show,
Right.
which is the hour that we were saying would have been really bomb.
But I'm just saying,
we
like,
know that it's such a difficult thing when people get older and move on with their lives and they have bills and they have it's
Right.
not that simple.
Real fans of the game aren't like, I can't wait to see a show about Jason's daughter. No offense. It's just the truth, right?
Right.
Not
I
if
got
you
what
don't
you're saying.
build it up. Not if you don't build it
Well,
up.
what he's saying is, even if you build it up, they're always going to, because it's source material, it's material that has existed, and people love it off of that. They're always going to compare it to that.
I think we talked about this. I kind of saw what it was and what was going on. I was like, look, I'm just going to go in.
But I even
This
told
isn't
both of you
our-
guys,
this
I'm like, this
it's
is
not-
not
right,
the same
right,
show.
right,
This is not
I
our
called
shit
you,
anymore.
I gave you
This
heads
is
up.
not our
before-
shit anymore.
Yep.
They should have called it something else or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is. So when I showed up, I was like, look, I'm just going to have fun, and just like do my thing, but realize that this is not
Right.
that.
So that also brings me to how for Wendy and I, well, for myself, I'll say, it was not as easy to do the job as you guys thought or probably thought. I know.
I didn't know. I did not think that.
Oh, okay. Well, you knew.
No, bro.
Because you and I had, a conversation, and you and I had a conversation. But our conversation was more based off of your experience, not my experience. But to be in the scenario and for us to have built what we built together and for me and Wendy to go on, we know it's a huge blessing. It's something that you cannot be mad at it, but I would be lying if I said we mourned you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where now that the show is over, I actually can breathe. Nobody would probably ever believe this, but it's such a weight off of my shoulder.
Right.
Although I love the show, it's a huge blessing, and I would, do it again in a minute with you
chunk
guys.
of your life, yeah.
Yeah, in a huge 20 years of my life. But I still mourned, all of you guys. And that was another thing that really, and one day Tia and I will have to probably have a powwow. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But she has some things that she has to deal with, whatever her issue is.
Right.
And come to me. But I also know that it's business. Because I know specifically, I'll say what I spoke to Tia about, she didn't have some answers for some things. So specifically, did this encourage what you've gone through in your life, with the trouble and stuff that you had gotten in the past? Mm-hmm.
Wait.
So what's your DUI?
Oh, just the whole game's roller coaster?
Yeah. Is that,
Oh,
can we talk about
bro,
that or no?
yeah, bro. Well,
Or no?
No, bro. I mean, I'm a proud, recovering alcoholic. I'm not afraid to mention my sobriety, because it happened, man. It happened, and this is one of the things. There's a whole bunch of things that I learned since being sober. Was number one, I'm never ever going to allow anyone to make me feel guilty about my success or my poochisms or what makes me weird or quirky. Yeah. Even as we joke, if we're chilling in our dressing rooms and there's White Snake playing and Tia's like, "Oh, Pooch, you're white. You're listening to white music." And then Kobe's like, "That's a great song. Like, what are you talking about?" Like, whatever. As an artist, because like,
I don't think I ever said White Snake had a great song.
no, it was.
But I know you're I'm fucking around.
Yeah. So as a football player and as a boxer, we listen to all types of different things. What moves us in the moment, and I just had all these compilations of songs. But the point I'm trying to make is, when you come into this business and then you find some success, because what a lot of people don't understand as actors, I'm going out to LA, I'm gonna go blow, I'm gonna be in the movie, I'm gonna be doing it.
Right.
You don't choose if you become famous or whatever. It just happens. You can come out to say, I'm gonna come out to LA or go to New York and work.
Right.
And even work could be like, you're pizza delivery guy, one over here, and then maybe you're
Gigging still.
whatever. You know what I mean? But when you go from being on a hit show,
because I also remember you weren't even a drinker when we would
No.
go to the CW parties and stuff when we first started.
Oh yeah.
You would
yeah,
have
yeah.
to he would have a shot and he would have to have water.
Or-
Because two
or
shots or something,
you'd be like,
you would be
I'm
like
watching you,
crazy.
Pooch. You better like take that shot with
Yeah,
us. I'm
because
like,
you would
I'm like,
always be like, and throw it behind his head.
or
and shit.
just,
So-
or I would
but wait,
just
wait,
take
wait.
a sip and put it down.
Yeah,
Like I wasn't.
But that's what I really want to have a conversation with you about, because after what happened to you, brother, I thought back in my mind, as we often do, I was like, what situations did I possibly put him in?
Who,
or
you?
Pressure.
You?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I'm just
hell
saying.
no.
But I'm just saying, you think about, were there signs in the past? You know what I'm saying? But my point is, it brought me back to the CW party that I'm mentioning to you guys, where you pretended that you were taking the shot, and you often did that, and you didn't. And I said, well, I wonder, years later, after it
appreciate
happened, I
that.
said, I wonder if you were struggling with something then, and then we just didn't know.
No, my mom was an alcoholic, and my dad wasn't, and I just wasn't a drinker. I mean, I was a boxer and I played football, and I was just a health gym guy, and I can honestly say, like, being here with you, and I mentioned this to you before, like, and shout out to all the other actors and entertainers struggling with addiction or some type of pain or darkness that they're going through, because what a lot of people don't understand is even in this industry, it's a drug. And I remember, I think back to you and I when we used to talk and all the different things we wanted to do, and like, I can't believe we're here. And you make it, and then you're like, holy crap, it's actually happening.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't understand is when you're on, like, where we were, we didn't have to pay for shit. We were getting shit for free.
Right.
Like, if you were a drinker, like, you could have the top shelf of whatever alcohol you wanted. We were gifted alcohol. Now, that's as far as I took it. And I really believed in being from the Northeast, from the East Coast. We believed in hard work, and I worked hard.
Yeah.
You know, even you guys would seem like, oh, because Kobe would always make a joke. Let me guess where you're going, Pooch. The gym?
Gym.
Yeah. So I would be in the gym in between shots, and I really wanted it because I always I grew up, you know, playing cops and robbers or being, you know, role playing and all that crap, and I wanted to be a Jedi Knight or a G.I. Joe guy or some kind of covert ops dude, or a lawyer or something. So, like, being in the entertainment industry, it afforded us that. So when you make it, and then everyone's like rooting for you, and then you're like, okay, I'm doing everything right, and then you finally come to a place where it's like, okay, we gotta kind of make some tough choices. I'm like, well, how tough could it be? Like, I got the role. You know, I was the guy for the role. Let's just work it out. They go, well, there's some like stipulations and some like obstacles, and I'm like, well, what? And when all of a sudden you're being told, like, hey, congratulations, you got this, but over here's going to be upset. But I'm like, well, they just said we can do this, but like, and then the people who actually, in a way, gave you this opportunity, like, we drafted you. That's how I looked at it. Mara drafted me, and then we had all the success, and then all of a sudden, you go over here, where your reps and everyone's like, we want you over here, but my heart was over here. Mm-hmm. And then when I'm like, okay, I know what's happening, because when we would know when Mara would get pissed. Like, people don't understand that Mara's like smiles and like super creative and talented, but if you don't come correct, you're gonna see that like boss lady. Mm-hmm. I'm not playing with you. And I think with Mara, I never experienced that other than Mara being hurt. But then I felt when I wasn't able to be on the game, after the things that I was told, I was like, okay, I'm going to go over to Ray Donovan and I'm going to like set it off. But then when you go over there, and then it's almost like, all right, Pooch, just get in there and get rebounds. Meanwhile, you go to, I was on the game putting up numbers.
On the game.
And then you go over there. But I didn't
yeah.
have the transition. I didn't know the transition of, okay, so this is how it's going to go. And then people telling you how to feel. Where I was like, I'm not really happy. What's wrong? Are you crazy? Yeah. Like, you're working with Oscar winner. And you're, right. What? Are you joking? I'm having lunch and dinner with like Brad and Angelina. And it's like, that must be cool. I'm like, yeah, but like, I had mad fun over there with my guys who aren't superstars.
Right.
Where I grew up playing football. We're playing football in the Falcons Stadium. Like, that was it for me. Mm. So I'm over there. Yes, I'm happy that eventually I'm going to maybe get over here and work with the Russo brothers, which I did. But, you know, working on the game was like, it wasn't work. And all of a sudden, I missed you guys. And then when I wasn't able to work over there, and I was over at Ray, and what people don't understand, right? For me, we worked pretty much almost every day when we were on the game. Right. Okay, we were on set, and even when we weren't working, we were still on set, clowning, whatever. Right. I'd work on Ray, be in a scene or two scenes, or maybe not in the episode, and it was 2 weeks to shoot an episode. Bro, there was times I was off for a month, but because you have a contract, and if stuff didn't line up, you can't do jack.
Did you feel like you made the wrong decision at some point in time? Like,
at the time, I was fighting that, saying, this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. You know, I was like, God don't make mistakes. But then I started to question that because I wasn't having fun. But now all of a sudden I'm at parties and events with all the cats who I grew up watching, and I was like, I want to work with him.
Right.
So yeah, I'm scratching stuff off the bucket list. I mean, I'm just meeting them, but I'm not working with them yet. I'm getting different auditions. And then I would audition, and then they wouldn't see me for funny stuff. They'd be like, oh, Pooch is a serious actor. He's not comedy. And they're like, are you...
right? Because they don't.
Bro! They're like,
because
what?
they don't know. They
Right.
don't know.
They don't know.
the game.
nuances of
They don't know. And then they're like, oh, well...
It's a black show. It's a black show.
Yeah, and even if you show them something funny, but because they're not familiar with it, it's still not really like, oh, it's not like, it's not Friends, or it's not like, you know, Frasier or Seinfeld. You know what I mean? So we really didn't get that notoriety. So there was this time, bro, I was like in this weird pocket, but then trying to pretend like, yeah, I made the right decision, where I did, because I also established some like amazing relationships from there to where I'm at now creatively. There's some things happening
you can utilize
that I'm utilizing, but it doesn't mean I did not know how to be for a second there, to where all of a sudden, you know what, I will have that drink. I will have that shot, because and then at that time, I wasn't seeing no therapist. I didn't know what it meant to be like, why am I feeling this way? People are telling me I'm supposed to be on point, and I'm not feeling that way. So I guess I got to kind of pretend to be on point. And then I started seeing other actors who were going through the same thing, where it didn't, and there were people who had way more money than me, were way more famous, but weren't happy. And you find yourself all of a sudden, you know those Spike Lee shots where you're floating and people are the cats are floating. That's how I felt. My feet weren't on the ground, and I was being moved around. And then whenever I would be like, hey, so I had some questions about my character, or like, it was don't worry about it, Pooch, just like da 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 da. I felt like I didn't have a say, as opposed to when all of a sudden on the game we're collaborating. They're even taking your suggestion, putting it in the script. Like, that to me that's creative, that's collaboration. But then when you're on a high level and you're not able to do that, well, my character wasn't, but I saw other characters doing that. I'm like, did I make the wrong, you know, am I not respected as a real actor? Am I not making, you know, and it didn't really matter how much, like, because John Voight and Leah, they vouched for me like so many different times, but if the powers that be, if their vision isn't that, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll consider it something. But then you'll go back to the script and you're like, hey, I thought we were like, that's what it is. And then all of a sudden, oh, but I thought, you don't like the writing? No, I didn't say I didn't like the writing. I thought that, you know what, it's fine. And you're sitting there, and then they're like, oh my God, you're great, Pooch, just that and the third. And then to them, it's great. But then my people outside, like, yo, what was up with that scene, dog? Like, da-da-da-da. And they, you know, I'm like, well, you know, I'm playing a character. And they're like, yeah, man, it's kind of like crazy how they're doing black people, something like that. And I'm like, you know, you're in this weird world.
You didn't feel like your voice is being heard in either job. That's crazy.
And, you know.
And you think that led you to?
Well, this stuff, that, and then the pressure of, you know, fatherhood, you know, marriage, and people always wanting something from you.
That takes a real adjustment. For everybody.
Yeah, bro. Well, the reality of it is, and you're growing up on TV where people think they know your life.
That's right.
And you're like, nah, I'm not okay. But I realize today it's okay to not be okay. Yeah. And, you know, being sober, you know, gave me clarity to where I don't care about being famous. I just want to be happy and work with people I want to have fun with.
Yeah, that's what it's
Do you know what I
been.
mean?
That's what it's
and that's why I had to create my own stuff, because then I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll go over here and we'll have another shot at greatness. But then in that situation, we don't want that, Pooch. And you're like, but are you not listening to the fans? And I feel the powers that be, when they don't listen to the fans, sometimes they can get it wrong.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
You can listen to the fans, but still keep your agenda, or whatchamacallit, but actually hear what they're saying and incorporate that, you know. And that's why I love the collaboration thing, why I still feel to this day that we, as a cast, the 6 of us and whoever else wants to play with us, we can have something great still.
I agree. And really, one of the questions thank you for sharing that with all of us, because I really wanted to understand more about, what you've gone through, man, because I love you and I care for you. And Kobi, that's a great segue for me to you, because I really want to know, like, you are probably one of the most, I've said this to you before, but I've said it a lot. You taught me so much about humanity working with you, because I was like this Alabama Bible Belt boy who was like, God, gee, I was so ruled in a way, still am, obviously, but
And you were young, bro.
yeah, I was the youngest one in our cast, but I looked up to all of you guys. But you were one of the most thoughtful, kind, patient, funny, caring, like you are the real life Huxtable. Whoa. I said the real life Huxtable.
Whoa. I thought you were saying Jason Pitts. I was like, no.
No, he is
Theo,
the real
Theo.
life Theo in life. Think about it. He's funny, he's witty, he's charming, and he loves his kids, his wife, his family. You are the first example of a guy in the industry, and Pooch, I'm not saying that you weren't, but you were on your grind in a different way.
Yeah.
And I know your setup is different, but Kobi, you were the first guy that I had ever experienced who put his family first, man. No matter how many flights you had to take home, you never let your wife go through things alone, and you guys were dealing with your situation with your kids and everything. How do you manage? And if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your kids, or we can edit this past, but
No, it's good.
That journey was tough on you guys, and you never cracked.
5, right? You're 5, right?
4.
4? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, so it's boy, girl, girl, girl. Okay.
As far as the game was in. I was in New York working on Third Watch. My first 2 girls were born in New York, but we were all still together. Came back out, started working on the game, but the first 3 years were in LA, so it was all good. I was like, I'm just going up. I got this. Every 3 weeks we got a week off. It's like family time. That ended, and then I got Burn Notice, which was in Miami, and I was like, shit. Okay, what do I do? Does the whole family? Do I uproot everybody? Because at that point I had 4 kids. All young. Do I uproot everybody, or do I just fly back and forth? And then Avis and I discussed it, and I just said, okay, I'm just going to fly back and forth. I'm going to fly back and forth. And I remember when I first went out there to kind of find an apartment and get established, do like my first episode. Yeah. It was like 8 days gone away from the house. I was like, okay, it's never gonna be this long again.
Wow.
I just can't do it. Could never do it.
Wow, man.
So I said, okay, 5 days is the rule. And if I'm normally, it won't be 5 days. You don't normally work all 5 days on a TV show. But if it's 5 days, it's 5 days. I'll go home for the weekend. I'll come back. And so that's what I've been doing since through Burn Notice, through The Gifted, through
So since we ended on the CW, that's been your life since.
It was the game and Burn Notice at the same time, which was
that's right.
Atlanta, Miami.
7 months out of the year going back and forth, Miami, Atlanta, home.
Oh.
And then started with the game, and then it was Atlanta, home. And then after that, when those 2 things ended, I said, okay, I'm getting something in LA. So I didn't take any during those pilot seasons. I didn't go in on anything that wasn't going to shoot in LA, which is rough.
Yeah, bro.
And I booked something, it didn't go. The next season I booked something, and it didn't go. So I was like, okay, now I gotta fucking work. I gotta work.
Right.
So that was when The Gifted came along, and it was like a Marvel thing. It was in the X-Men world. I was like, all right, this is gonna
do your thing. Yeah.
And the director was big. It was like, what's his name?
Well, yeah, we
Ryan?
won't get into that.
Okay, sorry, no,
but yeah. So I said, okay, it's gonna film either in Dallas or Atlanta. I was like, I got, I'm gonna have to work out of town again because I got to take this. So then it was that, and then it was straight from there into Walker, and that just ended. So yeah, it's been flying.
Yeah,
I've been flying, but I see it as I'm probably home more than like a parent that works sort of 9 to 5.
Oh yeah, because the total hours you're like
Doesn't see their kids, right? Yeah. And then when I am home, I'm just home.
Right.
All day with them. I mean, at this point it's different because I got the two sets of twins.
Yeah.
2 of them are going to be seniors in college, and 2 of them are going to be sophomores in
high school.
But that's also the reason why I think you're like a superhero too. Is because they're the same age. Your wife and you have 2 at the same time. You're like, that's twins. But 2 responsibilities, financial, emotional, mental, like all that at one time. That cannot be easy. 2 sets of that.
That was kind of always where I want. Like once we had kids, it was like, okay, how do I work as much as I have to, so that we can be comfortable and be good, but work as little as I can, so I can be home as much as I can, and not miss a bunch of shit. Like my dad's a great dad, but he's a singer, and he would have to, he would book an opera that would take him to Germany for 10 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he didn't have the luxury of
flying back and forth
because they're doing shows all on the weekends and everything.
Right.
So he couldn't do what we've talked about this. Like he couldn't do what I've been doing. But and then another thing I got from my dad was just the attitude of it's just work. Just show up, have fun, do your job, go the fuck home.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to get caught up in anything else.
And I think that discipline has carried you throughout your entire life, because that's a regiment. Like there's a discipline to that. But I also feel like that type of discipline is the discipline some of us need to be our best. So that's why I think you'll always work. You'll always get a show, because your regiment and the way you have to learn things in that in-between time and program your life, you're already going in my opinion, probably ahead mentally of the other artists, because your mind, the travel, the work, the compartmentalize, like all of that, it's a tool for people, and we don't even really realize that this tool, I will whoop a new actor's ass in an audition. I know, seriously, like I've gotten to that place where I know it is a skill set.
Yes.
Even on your worst day, damn these self-tapes and auditions, but it's a skill set that you cannot buy it. Experience will only give it to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
In my 40s, I've really realized that all we're doing is gathering things for other people. My home is mine for now, but someone else will live here. Life will go on once I've left my footprint on this planet. And I now know that life is really about helping one another navigate this journey. There is no competition in our lives. It's in our minds. And if we can get past our minds, all of our lives will be a lot better. The ideals that we carry that are false about humanity. So this space is created to give men a place to come to heal, to congregate, and to not feel or be judged in any way. Our stories and our history is someone else's future. So the better we can provide the tools for our young men, for young black men, to navigate this damn world we live in, the better humans we will be, because it's really just about our footprint and giving back. So thank you guys for sharing your story. We laugh, we joke, we have a great time, but I know the serious wealth of information that both of you guys provide is going to help a lot of people navigate their journey, because if we can be on TV, stars and rich and all the stuff that comes along with the idea of being in this business, then we can also do something to give someone else a roadmap so they can be their best when they're working at Walmart or at AutoZone or wherever, because nobody's in this thing alone. So thank you guys so much. I'd like to thank you guys personally for watching today's episode. And I'd also like to ask you to spread the word about our community. We're small and we're mighty, but we're healing and growing as men. And thank you in advance for helping share that. So if you want to help us keep the conversation going, or if you need to have a chat yourself, you can always reach out to us on our Facebook, our Instagram, or our TikTok. Fellas, let's grow.